everyone, it's Teresa Green from Slow Paths Wellness, and this is Wellness Wednesday. Now, Wellness Wednesday is a relatively new thing I'm doing here on YouTube, and it's mostly going to be about Asian medicine, the thing I'm originally and most thoroughly trained in. There will be some just sort of general wellness things as well. So today, for Wellness Wednesday, we're going to talk about wintertime and how Asian medicine, Chinese medicine, how we see it and what we suggest to people as ways to maybe tweak your lifestyle a little bit in wintertime so that you're getting the most out of what the season is giving you anyway. Now, in Chinese medicine, there's a theory called the 5-element theory, and each season corresponds to a certain element. And you may say, winter, spring, summer, fall. There's 4. Where's the 5th one? The 5th one, depending on which thing you listen to and which way of looking at the world you look at it in Chinese medicine, Asian medicine, it's either the late summer when it's kind of humid and we call that late summer, before you get into real fall and when the real big heat of summer, dry heat of summer is gone. That can be that 5th season, or it can be about a couple weeks between each season as things are shifting and changing. And I think that kind of both of them fit, so I don't necessarily subscribe to one or the other. I kind of think it sort of depends on what's going on in each individual. But this is wintertime we're talking about. Now, in Chinese medicine, winter tends to start a little earlier because it's a lunar calendar, so springtime starts in February, about the time you see the first little sprouts shooting up. And then everything else is kind of staggered about the same way. So we're around winter time now when the weather first starts going where it stays cool, when it starts getting below freezing at night, you start getting the first big frosts, you're getting into the wintertime season. And wintertime has a few components. There's tons of stuff I could tell you about wintertime, so I'm going to narrow it down to 3 things. In Asian medicine, Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine, and the 5-element theory of the different Asian medicines, wintertime has to do with going within, kind of doing more interior work and being more on the introverted side of things as far as what you do for yourself, deep contemplation. It has to do with beginnings, but kind of the pre-planning contemplation potential side of beginnings more than the actual activity, which is more of a spring activity. And it also has to do with building your reserves. So that's a really big thing to do any time of the year, but at wintertime especially, it's a really good time to build up some of your reserves. So first is the idea of the going within, the kind of inner work part of winter. In Chinese medicine, winter deals with the organ systems that we talk about as the water systems, which deal with kidney, bladder, adrenal function, and to some degree some of the other endocrine functions are kind of thrown in there in different pieces and parts, thyroid, pituitary, that sort of thing. And it, as we are learning now in modern medicine, those systems work at their best when you are in a peaceful place. The idea of being out of the fight or flight, which is supposed to be a temporary response to stress, and in the rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is supposed to be what you're in most of the time. And that's when you're able to rest, able to be quiet, able to digest your food, and kind of all the background things that are supposed to happen at their best when you're not feeling stressed or feeling like you're in a threat response. Wintertime is an especially important time to attend to that, because that's the time that, as I said, in Asian medicine, that the organ systems that deal with that part of life, with the adrenaline function, with the different endocrine system functions, it's much more focused on this time of year than at other times of year. So the idea is, if you have something that is more of a contemplation thing, more of a personal thing, if you're wanting to start a mindfulness practice, or if you're wanting to increase your mindfulness practice, or spend more time contemplating things, more time kind of getting to the bottom of what your values really are, what your hopes and dreams and goals really are, this is a good time for that. This is a good time for thought, for peaceful contemplation, for meditation, for anything that is sort of an internal exercise, internal focus, just a way to kind of reconnect deeply with who you really are under the surface, under the different roles you have, who you really are. That's one of the gifts of wintertime. And we would say that, that all that cold weather, all that snowy weather kind of drives you inside, and that makes it much easier to do that sort of thing. It's kind of the human equivalent of hibernation, where you're doing more things that have to do with attending to your own energy, your own life, so that you're able to spread that for other people. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. The second thing I want to talk about for the Chinese medicine view of winter is that it is a time of beginnings, but not the active, jump out of the racing stall kind of beginnings. It's more of the contemplation beginnings, the pre-planning sort of stages, this time where you're kind of doodling ideas on your notebook. And that's why I talk to people when they come in and they talk about, January goals. I say, okay, let's not start a new exercise plan necessarily in January, especially if you just kind of decided it's time to do it, let's do it, without any thought or kind of planning stage for it at all. Let's not start a cleanse in January. Let's not, start all these different things that you want to jump into and do. Let's not do that in wintertime. Let's look at them and decide which ones you want to give your time to, contemplate that, and then let's think about them. So if, for instance, you wanted to start a new exercise program, instead of jumping into some boot camp on the 2nd of January and wearing yourself out, running around in the cold, and then quite possibly, if you're going to be like the vast majority of people that do that, being completely done with it by the end of January, let's sit and say, okay, I would like to have the goal of better fitness. I want to be able to walk longer distances from the parking lot. I want to be able to play with my children or grandchildren. I want to be able to feel like I'm mobile and happy and feel extra energy, or I want to be able to open jars of pickles by myself. And so then you can contemplate what would make that happen. What are the activities, that day-by-day activities would bring that into reality and that you can do long-term, so you don't have to throw yourself into something that may be more intense than you want to do. Now, if you go through this process and you decide, what, I really do want to do one of those, really intensive exercise programs to kind of get myself going, great. You can sign up for that, and I would suggest signing up no earlier than February, because then you'll be picking up the energy of springtime, which is, like I said, that same energy that encourages little sprouts to come popping out and sends people to start going to the big box outdoor landscaping stores because they just suddenly really feel this intense need to do yard work or to have activities, because that's the energy of springtime. Wintertime is not the energy of springtime. Wintertime is the time to do more of the thought, the contemplation, things that are peaceful, things that are even beyond thought, like the embodiment, connecting your mind and body so that you're having sort of the primordial, what Stephen King calls the boys in the basement part of things activated. So take your goal, look at it, and start thinking about it. What are the things that would make this easier to do? Could I put some workout clothes right by the door to the bathroom so that when I get up I don't wake up, kids or spouse or partner or dogs or whatever? I can tiptoe in and change in the bathroom and take off. Should I put a workout bag in the car with me so that it's easy for me to stop back and forth? Should I talk to a friend that I know enjoys the same kind of things that I'm doing? Should I start maybe very small and then have a set of goals where I start walking just a little ways and I go further and further? Should I look at walking in the place that's the easiest for me to get to, or the one that's the most enjoyable for me so that I'll look forward to it in a different way? Or should I join the gym because I like to be around other people? It'll give you time to go through those factors so that when it's time for you to actually step out and do it, again, that I recommend more of a springtime kind of thing, you have the best chance for success because you've already put your intention in your thought, and you've developed a process that'll make that work the best. So wintertime is a time for beginnings, but it's the time for planning for beginnings. So again, if your goal is getting better sleep, well then you can start reading up on how to do that and things you can do, and you can start trying out different little, does it help me to cut my phone off 2 hours before I go to bed, or 1 hour before I go to bed, or is it okay for me to watch this comedy just before I go to bed, or do I sleep better if I don't? So you can start trying on things without it being this real firm, hard goal, just kind of I'm getting my feet wet a little bit with the idea of pursuing a different goal. Then the third thing I want to leave you with today, as far as the things that winter means in Chinese medicine and how to use them for your health, is it's a time for building your reserves. We really feel very strongly in Chinese medicine that your wintertime activities, the way that you eat, the way that you exercise, the way that you bring mindfulness in, any supplements that you take, that's going to give you sort of your baseline of energy for the rest of the year. That's going to give you your reserves to pull from when you have to work extra hours, or when something comes up that's an emergency, or something comes up that just is very stressful. How you prepare, especially in winter, but day by day as well, of course, but especially in winter, will give you extra energy to be able to pull from, which is another reason why winter's not the time to start some big activity, because you should be storing that energy, tucking it in a savings account, whether that's literally with money, because you can also think of it that way as well, or figuratively, where maybe you cut back a couple of activities so you can either go to bed a little earlier, or take a nap, or engage in some kind of real restorative play. Some people like to use coloring books, or take an extra walk, or just anything like that, or paint, something that is going to fill your well, so that then you have energy when you get to the springtime, which is more of the goal-oriented, getting stuff done, starting new activities. The summertime, which in Chinese medicine we associate with a lot of social things and being able to interact with other people in a way that's not necessarily as goal-driven, more of the relationship-driven. Or then in the late summer, are what we call the stomach and spleen earth time, which is more, again, of kind of a turning back and making things cozy for yourself, but with more of a activity level associated with it than in the winter time. Or in the autumn, which deals with kind of going through the year and deciding what to keep and what to kind of let go of, and how to sort of the evaluative process for you. So you'll need energy for all those things, and the time to build that is now in winter. So if there are certain foods that you know are very nourishing for you, you may want to have more of those, more root vegetables, more things that are like fruits and vegetables that are full of all the polyphenols and all the great chemicals that are real helpful for you. If there are certain herb supplements that you feel are very helpful, and they are not cleansing, save the cleansing ones for spring, unless there's a really compelling reason to do it right away. But things that are nourishing, things that are nurturing, things that will help build things up inside in order to build up your reserves so that you're ready for the rest of the year. So for Wellness Wednesday today, we talked about wintertime in Asian medicine. I gave you 3 points: that wintertime's a time for going inward and working with sort of your hopes and dreams and ideals, and trying to kind of drill down on who you are and who you want to be. It's a time for planning. It's a time for starting new projects, but in the planning, pre-planning, optimism, considering things kind of stage. And it's a time for building your reserves, building your self-care, trying to give yourself a little more room, a little more margin in your life, so that you're able to sort of store up some energy so that you can really use it and really enjoy yourself the rest of the year. Now, this was a quick overview. If there's anything in this that you kind of rang a bell and you wanted to learn more about, you can leave a comment on the YouTube video if you want to. You can also contact me, and we can see if some coaching or some treatment might be helpful for you. As I've said before, I can't give you individual medical or lifestyle or coaching information without there being actually an appointment, because I need to really know who I'm talking to when I do this. If I make a broad general recommendation to you, but I do it to you specifically, it may not be right for you, because you may have some specific things going on in your unique life or your unique health situation that I need to know about before I make a specific recommendation for you. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please share the video. And have a wonderful week and a wonderful Wellness Wednesday.